The woman we trusted to care for our child wasn't who she seemed, and the shocking truth she uncovered would change everything we thought we knew about our family. I never thought life could shrink so suddenly, from the bright, bustling city of Indianapolis to the beige, echoing hallways of an assisted living facility. But that's what happens when you're responsible for a parent with Alzheimer's. Your world no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the disease. My mother, Margaret Morgan, had been a nurse herself, sharp-minded, sharp-tongued, and stubborn to the bone. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, follow the channel and subscribe for more just like it. A woman who read 3 newspapers every morning and corrected journalists' grammar out loud. The kind of woman who once climbed a ladder at 62 to prove she was still functional, only to fall and break her wrist. Seeing her decline was like watching a monument crumble piece by piece. I visited her 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how chaotic my work at an insurance firm became. I always felt guilty coming in late, already exhausted before I even reached her door. Alzheimer's doesn't care about your workload or your deadlines. It eats up your patience and your energy like a wildfire. But on that Thursday afternoon in November, something shifted. I got a call from Sunnyside Haven's front desk at exactly 4:42 p.m. "Ms. Morgan," the receptionist said, "your mother had an episode. She's asking for you. She's insisting, actually." "Is she all right?" I asked, already reaching for my coat. "She's safe. But she's confused. And she keeps repeating your name." That alone made my heart thud painfully. 5 minutes later, I was in my car, speeding through light snowfall. Indianapolis traffic was crawling, holiday shoppers already flooding the roads. By the time I parked, my nerves were a live wire. Inside the lobby, twinkling Christmas lights tried to create a cozy illusion. But nothing about the facility ever felt cozy to me. It was all neutral tones, laminated floors, and the smell of disinfectant. A place shaped by practicality, not comfort. I signed in and headed down the hallway lined with residents' room doors, faint murmurs echoing behind some of them. But as I turned the corner toward my mother's wing, I stopped dead. A man stood there, adjusting a medication cart, his back to me. His broad shoulders were unmistakable. His posture, straight but tired, sent a bolt of electricity down my spine. No, it couldn't be. He turned slowly, as if sensing someone behind him. Ethan. My ex-husband. My breath caught. My heart slammed into my ribs. His eyes widened, recognition washing over his face with the force of a tidal wave. "Anna," he said softly. My world spun. The hallway suddenly felt too small, the lights too bright, the air too thin. I hadn't seen Ethan in 15 years, not since the night he left without a word. No fight. No conversación. Not even a note. One night he was my husband. The next morning he was gone. What are you doing here?" I finally managed. He cleared his throat. "I work here." I stared at him as if he'd spoken in another language. "You work here?" I repeated. "As what?" "A nurse." His voice was steady, but his eyes were anything but. "I'm on the evening rotation for your mother's wing." A cold wave washed over me. "You're my mother's nurse?" He nodded slowly. Rage. Confusion. Fear. Hurt. All the emotions I'd tucked away for over a decade tore through me at once. "You didn't think to tell me?" I demanded. "I tried," he said quietly. "But I didn't know if you'd want." He stopped when a door behind us creaked open. My mother peeked out, her hair a wild halo of gray curls. "Anna? Sweetheart? Is that you?" I hurried to her. "Mom, why are you out of bed?" She frowned. "I was looking for you. And I thought I saw your father." She blinked at Ethan. "You remind me of someone." Ethan smiled gently. "Just your nurse, ma'am." Mom squinted. No, I know those eyes." "Mom," I whispered. "Let's get you back to your room." But she refused to move until Ethan offered his arm. She took it instantly. My heart twisted unexpectedly. Seeing Ethan help her, my mother, felt surreal, wrong, familiar, painful, all at once. Inside her room, we tucked her back into bed, and she drifted off within minutes. I stood there, arms crossed, staring at Ethan. He closed the door softly. Can we talk? He asked. We stepped into the one quiet corner, near the supply closet. My pulse still thundered in my ears. Okay, I snapped, talk. He exhaled shakily. I didn't come here looking for you. How comforting, I muttered. Anna, please. His voice cracked slightly. I applied for the job months ago. Sunnyside assigned me this wing. I didn't choose your mother. But when I saw her name, Margaret Morgan, I knew exactly who she was. So you just what? Stayed silent. Yes, he admitted, shame darkening his eyes. At first. Because I didn't know if seeing me would hurt you. Because after everything I did, I didn't know if I had the right. You don't, I said sharply. You don't have any right. He looked down, accepting it. Why did you leave? I blurted suddenly, the question that had haunted me for 15 years. His jaw tensed. You don't want. Ido. I deserve the truth. He swallowed hard. I left because I thought I was dying. The world froze. What? I whispered. I got sick. Very sick. An autoimmune disorder. My organs were failing. The doctors didn't think I'd last 6 months. He blinked painfully. I couldn't put you through that. I couldn't let you watch me disappear piece by piece. So you disappeared all at once? I whispered, voice trembling. He nodded, eyes glassy. That wasn't love, Ethan, I said. That was abandonment. I know, he whispered. And I'm sorry. I've been sorry every day. My throat tightened. I hated that his apology hurt worse than his disappearance. Detective Harris stepped closer, his voice lower and grimmer now. Evelyn, I need you to think very carefully. When Olivia came to your house, did she seem scared? Nervous? Did she say anything unusual? Evelyn blinked rapidly, trying to steady herself. She was quiet. More than normal. She kept glancing at her phone. When I asked her what was wrong, she said she needed to tell me something important. Something she should have told me years ago. Harris looked at Luke, then back at her. And did she? Evelyn's voice cracked. No. She said she'd tell me after dinner. Then she hugged me really tight. Too tight. Then she left because she got a call. She didn't tell me who it was. Harris wrote something in his notebook, the scratch of the pen echoing like a verdict. So she was worried, Luke murmured. Evelyn turned to him. Luke, what do you think she wanted to tell me? You knew her. You talked to her more than anyone. Luke opened his mouth, closed it, then dragged a hand down his face. I don't know for sure, he said slowly. But I know she had enemies. And she had secrets. Real ones. Not the kind she joked about. Evelyn's pulse hammered. What kind of secrets? Luke hesitated. Harris spoke for him. The kind that get people killed. Paramedics carried Olivia's body gently away in a zipped black bag. Evelyn watched, numb, her fingers pressing over her mouth as if trying to hold her heart inside her chest. Luke walked up behind her. You shouldn't stand here. She was my daughter, Evelyn whispered. I'll stand anywhere she goes. Luke lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. Harris approached again, holding a small clear evidence bag. Inside was a phone. Olivia's phone. Except, Detective, Evelyn said through her trembling breath. That's not her phone. Hers had a sunflower sticker. Harris nodded grimly. Exactly. Which means she was using another phone we haven't found yet. Evelyn's stomach twisted. What does that mean? Luke stepped closer, voice thin. It means whoever she was meeting tonight didn't want her to call for help. Evelyn covered her mouth again. Oh God. The detective looked at both of them. We need to search her room. Evelyn led Harris and Luke into Olivia's room. A place she had avoided entering for years because her daughter always said it was her sanctuary. Tonight it was a crime scene. Harris put on gloves. Don't touch anything unless I say so. Evelyn nodded, though her legs shook. Olivia's room was neat, too neat. Bed made. Desk wiped. Books aligned. No clothes on the floor. No makeup scattered. Harris noticed it too. She cleaned before she left. That's unusual. Evelyn swallowed. Olivia hated cleaning. Luke pointed to the bookshelf. She had notebooks. A lot of them. Where are they? They searched. Gone. Every notebook Olivia had filled for years. Journals she guarded with her life, missing. Then Harris spotted something. A sliver of paper sticking out beneath the dresser. He crouched, pulled it free, and unfolded it carefully. Evelyn gasped. It was a screenshot. Printed. From a phone. A text conversation. From an unknown number. We're running out of time. If you don't tell her, they will. Olivia's reply. I know. I'm going tonight. After that, I don't know what happens to me. Evelyn felt the room tilt. Luke steadied her. Harris stepped in front of both of them. This wasn't just a meeting. Olivia was in danger. And she knew it. But what did she want to tell me? Evelyn asked again, voice hoarse. Luke hesitated. Detective. I think she told me part of it. Not everything. But enough. Harris gave him a sharp look. And you're saying this now? Luke bristled. I didn't know it'd get her killed. Evelyn stared between them. Just tell me. Luke took a breath like swallowing fire. Olivia found something at her job. Evelyn blinked. Her job? At the real estate office. Luke nodded. Yes. But it wasn't about real estate. It was about the owners. What about them? They weren't who they said they were. Evelyn frowned. Luke, this is vague. What do you mean? Luke's voice dropped to a near whisper. They were laundering money through properties. A lot of it. And Olivia found proof, emails, recordings, documents. Evelyn clutched the dresser for support. Oh my God. Luke continued. She confronted one of them last week. Told him she'd expose everything if they didn't stop. He threatened her. Harris rubbed his temple. And she didn't come to the police? Luke shook his head. She didn't trust anyone. She said it went deep. Lawyers, bankers, even someone local in law enforcement. Evelyn felt her skin go cold. So she came to me tonight because? Luke nodded. She needed a witness. Someone she trusted. Someone who wouldn't be bribed or silenced. Evelyn's breath broke. Oh, Olivia. Suddenly Harris froze. Did you hear that? They all turned. A faint sound. A vibration. From the closet. Harris stormed forward, threw the door open, and inside. A purse sat on the floor. Olivia's purse. And inside it, her missing phone. Harris pulled out a second evidence bag. We'll unlock it at the station. But the phone screen was lit. A notification. One new voice message. Received at 11:04 p.m. From unknown number. Evelyn's heart pounded. That's the time she left the restaurant. Harris hesitated. I shouldn't play this here. But Evelyn stepped forward, eyes blazing. She was my daughter. Play it. Harris held the phone, pressed the message, and a distorted male voice filled the room. Olivia, you made a mistake coming tonight. You should have stayed quiet. Now it's too late. We're already at your mother's house. Evelyn screamed. Luke grabbed her. Harris paled. Then the message continued. And when she finds out what you did, it'll destroy her. The message ended. Evelyn sank to the floor. What did she do? What did my daughter do? Luke crouched beside her. Evelyn, she didn't betray you. She protected you. But Evelyn shook violently, sobbing. No, that man said she did something. Something that would destroy me. What did he mean? What was Olivia hiding from me? Luke looked away. And that's when Evelyn realized. Luke knew. He knew something much deeper. Something he hadn't said. She slowly stood, eyes red but steady. Luke, what aren't you telling me? Luke swallowed, throat bobbing. And his voice came out barely audible. There's something Olivia found about your past. Something she didn't know how to tell you. Something the people she was investigating used against her. Evelyn's whole body froze. My past, she whispered. What about my past? Luke looked at the floor. Evelyn. Olivia discovered that everything she believed about her father was a lie. Evelyn felt the air leave her lungs. My husband, she whispered. What about Daniel? Luke's jaw tightened. He looked at Detective Harris, as if asking silently whether he should continue. Harris nodded. Tell her. She deserves the truth. Luke took a breath. Evelyn. Daniel wasn't who he said he was. The words hung in the room like ash. Evelyn blinked rapidly, shaking her head. No, Daniel was a good man. He loved Olivia. He died in that warehouse fire trying to save. Luke raised a hand gently. That's what you were told. Evelyn recoiled like he'd hit her. Told? Daniel is dead. I buried him. His mother. He didn't die in that fire, Luke said quietly. There was no body in the building. None. Evelyn stared. I saw the report. The report was fabricated. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Luke continued, slow, deliberate, careful. Olivia discovered files at her real estate office. Names connected to the laundering ring, and one of those names was identical to Daniel's birth name. Evelyn felt her knees weaken. Birth name? What birth name? His name was Daniel Warner. Luke hesitated. His legal documents were forged. All of them. Harris stepped in. What Luke is saying is that your husband was using an assumed identity, one that tied him to criminal networks. Evelyn pressed a trembling hand against her forehead. No. Daniel was a volunteer firefighter. He coached Olivia's softball team. Luke's voice softened. Evelyn, Olivia didn't want to believe it either. But the files she found, they proved something. Something big. Evelyn felt nausea rise like a wave. What did they prove? Luke looked her straight in the eyes. That Daniel didn't disappear by accident. He didn't die. He ran. And he was running from the same people Olivia was investigating. Evelyn stumbled back until she hit the edge of the bed. You're saying Daniel was involved with criminals? Luke nodded slowly. Yes. A long time ago. Before he met you. Tears blurred her vision. No. Daniel would have told me. He promised me. He didn't tell you because he wanted to leave it behind, Luke said. He wanted a normal life. A family. You. Olivia. Evelyn's breath hitched. Then why would Olivia being involved with the investigation matter now? Daniel's gone. Harris exchanged a look with Luke. Neither of them wanted to say it. Evelyn felt cold dread slide down her spine. Tell me, she said slowly. Right now. Luke swallowed hard. Because the files Olivia found included a photo. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a crumpled printed picture inside an evidence sleeve. He held it up with shaking fingers. Evelyn leaned forward. It was a blurry surveillance still. A man walking into a warehouse. A man with a familiar posture. Familiar shoulders. A familiar way of holding his coat. No. No. Evelyn felt the world go silent. That's Daniel, she whispered. Luke nodded. And the timestamp on that video was just 6 months ago. Evelyn's heart stopped. 6 months? Daniel had been gone for 12 years. But that means he's alive, she rasped. Harris stepped forward. Evelyn, we have reason to believe Daniel Warner, or whatever his real name was, went back into hiding after resurfacing. And the people Olivia was investigating were connected to him. Deeply. Evelyn stared at the picture. Her hands shook, but she couldn't let it go. Her fingertips traced the plastic like she could feel Daniel's skin through it. My God. Olivia. Luke's voice cracked. She found this picture the same day she promised to tell you everything. Evelyn squeezed her eyes shut. And those men, Harris continued gently. They told her that if she revealed the truth, it would destroy you. And she didn't want to break your heart. Evelyn slumped against the bed, sobbing silently. She protected me, she whispered. She protected me from the truth about my own husband. Harris cleared his throat, voice steady but troubled. We need to walk through what happened tonight. Step by step. Evelyn wiped her tears with trembling hands. I'll try. Luke sat beside her on the bed, giving her silent support. Harris paced slowly. Olivia left your house at 10:32 p.m. She was heading to meet someone. We believe she planned a handoff. Something she wanted to give them. Evelyn blinked. What? Luke answered. Evidence. Documents. Proof of the laundering network. And something else. What else? A letter, Luke said. Addressed to you. Evelyn's chest tightened. Where is it? Luke shook his head. We don't know. We think she had it with her. Harris continued pacing. She got that call at the restaurant. The voice on the message says they were at your house, meaning they were watching her movements closely. Evelyn's breath shook. So she came here tonight, knowing they were following her? Yes, Harris said. She was hoping she could talk to you before they intercepted her. Luke added softly. She didn't want to drag you into danger. Evelyn hugged her arms around herself. But they killed her anyway. Luke clenched his jaw, fists trembling with rage. Not for long. Harris, you're putting me on the task force. I don't care what it takes. You're already on it, Harris said. Evelyn looked up at both of them. What do we do now? Harris leaned close, voice firm and heavy. Now we find out why your husband resurfaced. Why these people silenced Olivia. And why they think the truth will destroy you. Evelyn nodded slowly. But deep inside, something twisted. Because she already knew. If Daniel was alive. If he had lied to her for years. If he had returned to the criminal world Olivia uncovered. Then the truth wouldn't just destroy her. It would change everything she believed about her life, her marriage, her daughter, and herself. The room felt too small, too tight, too full of ghosts. Evelyn sat there, staring at the photo of Daniel, alive, moving, breathing 6 months ago. The man she had mourned. The man she buried in her heart. The man she raised a child without. The man Olivia loved like a father. The man who wasn't who he said he was. Her voice cracked as she whispered. Why would he come back? After all these years? Luke's jaw tightened. His eyes softened, though, because for all the bitterness and damage between them, Daniel had once been Luke's friend. The three of them had grown up together in the same Indiana neighborhood, long before life twisted them into strangers. There are only 2 reasons a man resurfaces after disappearing that long, Luke said quietly. Either he wants something, or someone wants him. Harris added. And considering the network Olivia was investigating, we suspect the second. Evelyn's heart pounded. So they forced him out of hiding. Harris nodded. Or he tried to run and they followed. Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth. Her husband. Her daughter. Both caught in a world she knew nothing about. Why didn't she tell me? Evelyn whispered. Luke sat beside her again, lowering his voice. Because Olivia believed that if she told you who Daniel really was, it would break you. And she didn't want to be the reason you lost him twice. Tears welled again. Oh, Liv. Evelyn whispered, choking on the name. She died trying to protect me from a truth I didn't even ask for. Luke closed his eyes, pain written across his face. She shouldn't have had to protect anyone. Harris checked his watch, then turned to Luke. We need to search Olivia's car and the alley behind the diner. If she hid anything, that's where it would be. Evelyn's voice rose with sudden desperation. Wait. She said she wanted to explain everything. She said she had something to show me. Luke nodded. And she would have kept it close. She knew they were watching. Is it possible, Evelyn whispered, that the letter survived? That she hid it somewhere when she realized she was being followed? Harris nodded. Yes. It's possible. People under threat hide things instinctively. Under car seats, in wheel wells, behind dumpsters, inside trash bins, even in storm drains. Evelyn felt a quiver of hope. Then we have to look. She wouldn't have come here unless she was desperate. Unless it was important. Luke stood. I'll go with Harris. I know how Olivia thinks. Evelyn's eyes locked onto his. Bring me something. Anything. I need to hear her voice again. Luke nodded tightly. We'll find it. Luke and Harris left the room, and Evelyn followed them down the hallway to the front door. Snow drifted outside, dusting the parking lot in fragile white powder. The night felt colder than before, sharper, quieter, darker. Luke paused with his hand on the door. Evelyn, he said softly, lock your doors. Don't open them for anyone but us. She nodded. Do you think they're still watching me? Luke swallowed. I think they were watching Olivia. And anyone she talked to. Evelyn's breath froze in her chest. Go, she whispered. Find whatever she left. Luke hesitated, then did something he hadn't done in years. He touched her shoulder. Gently, carefully, like she was made of porcelain. I won't let anything happen to you. Or her memory. He turned and stepped out into the snow. Harris followed, talking into his radio. Evelyn stood there in the doorway, hugging herself against the cold. They drove off. She was alone. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. Evelyn sat silently on the sofa, staring at the framed photo of Olivia on the mantel. Bright smile, dark curls, eyes full of light that no longer existed. The house felt hollow without her. A sound broke the silence. A soft tap. Evelyn's head snapped up. Another tap. Not from the door, from the window. Her blood ran cold. She stood slowly, heart in her throat. The tapping came again. 3 soft, deliberate knocks on the glass. She forced herself forward and pulled back the curtain. And gasped. A man stood in the snow, half hidden by the shadows of the porch roof. Snowflakes clung to his hair. His coat looked worn. His face unshaven. But she knew that face. Older. Thinner. Sharper. But unmistakable. Her heart stopped. "Daniel," she breathed. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just looked at her with hollow eyes. Eyes full of fear. Eyes full of secrets. He lifted his hand and pressed something flat against the glass. A folded piece of paper. He mouthed 3 words. "They're coming now." Evelyn staggered backward. Daniel looked at her one last time. Then he ran. Evelyn stumbled toward the front door, shaking. Footsteps crunched on the snow outside. Not Daniel's. These were heavier. More than one pair. Voices murmured. Men. Deep, cold voices. She froze inches from the deadbolt. A shadow passed the window. Then. Bang. 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 A fist slammed against her front door. "Mrs. Warner," a voice called smoothly. "We need to speak with you." Her breath hitched. "No," she whispered. "No, no." Another knock. Harder. "We're with the sheriff's department. Please open the door." It was a lie. Her instincts screamed it. Then a second voice spoke. "We know your daughter visited you tonight." Evelyn's knees weakened. "We know she gave you something." She backed away, heart in her throat. "She didn't give me anything," she whispered to herself. She didn't. But Daniel had. The paper he pressed against the window was gone. She didn't even know when he had dropped it. On the porch? In the snow? Under the door? Another voice growled. "Get the battering ram." Evelyn gasped. "No." But she wasn't fast enough. The crash was deafening. The door splintered inward, wood exploding like a grenade. Evelyn screamed and fell back onto the floor, scrambling away as 2 large men in dark winter gear stormed inside. Faces covered. Gloved hands. Cold eyes. One grabbed her by the arm. The other slammed the door behind them. "Where is it?" the taller one barked. Evelyn shook violently. I don't know what you're talking about." He leaned down, breathing hot and foul over her face. "Your daughter died for that file. And you're going to give it to us before you join her." Her blood froze solid. The shorter man stomped snow onto her floor, scanning the room with a pistol drawn. "She had it on her," he growled. "Search the house." "No." Evelyn cried. "Please, she didn't leave anything." The tall man tightened his grip on her arm. "Wrong answer." He reached for his waistband. And that's when headlights flooded the living room. A car. Fussed. Skidding into the driveway. The tall man swore loudly. "Damn it, someone's here." The shorter one spun. "Finish her now." Evelyn screamed. The front windows shattered as a figure crashed through them. Glass exploding everywhere. And a shotgun blast followed. The explosion of the shotgun shook the entire house. The blast echoed through the living room as the masked man closest to Evelyn flew backward, hitting the fireplace with a sickening thud. His gun skidded across the hardwood floor. The taller man cursed, diving behind the couch. Evelyn curled into herself on the floor, hands over her head, ears ringing. Glass rained everywhere. Smoke filled the room. Someone jumped through the broken window, boots hitting the carpet with a heavy thud. Evelyn lifted her head slowly and froze. The figure stood tall, breath visible in the cold air. Winter coat torn at the shoulder, shotgun gripped tightly. The face was hidden for a moment in the swirling dust. Then he stepped forward. Into the light. Into her view. Luke. Not Daniel. Not the men. Not a stranger. Luke. His eyes locked on the surviving intruder, voice cold enough to freeze stone. Step away from her. The tall man scrambled to his feet, grabbing Evelyn and dragging her upright by the collar of her shirt. She gasped as his arm wrapped around her neck like a vice. I will kill her, he shouted. Back up. Luke cocked the shotgun with bone-deep calm. No, you won't. You think I won't? I swear to. Luke fired. The blast missed the man by an inch, blowing apart the chandelier above him. Crystal shards rained down like ice. The man flinched, loosening his grip. Evelyn seized the moment. She stomped hard on his foot and slammed her elbow into his ribs, twisting out of his arms. Luke grabbed her wrist, pulling her behind him. The man lunged. Luke swung the shotgun like a bat. It cracked against the attacker's jaw with a devastating crack. The man went down hard. Silence. Real silence. Just heavy breathing. Glass under boots. Evelyn's racing pulse. Luke lowered the weapon, eyes sweeping the room, chest rising and falling with adrenaline. Are you hurt? He asked, turning to her. Evelyn shook her head, but her voice was trembling. I think I'm okay. He exhaled shakily. Good. We need to go. Now. Luke pulled Evelyn toward the broken window. Harris's car screeched into the driveway seconds later, sirens blaring. Officers jumped out with weapons drawn, shouting commands as they stormed the house. Evelyn barely registered the chaos. Her gaze was glued to something half hidden in the snowy grass. A small folded sheet of paper. White. Slightly crumpled. Her breath hitched. That's, she whispered. Luke followed her eyes. Stay here, he ordered gently. He jogged through the snow, knelt, and picked it up. For a moment, he just looked at it. Then he brought it back to her, eyes solemn. It's from Daniel, he said quietly. He must have slipped it here before he ran. Evelyn's fingertips trembled as she took it. Her husband's handwriting stared back at her. She hadn't seen it in 12 years. The note was only 3 lines long. But those 3 lines shattered her world. Evelyn, I never meant for you or Olivia to pay for my past. If you're reading this, run. Her knees buckled. Luke caught her before she collapsed. Harris stepped inside, gun still drawn, face hard with fury. 2 men down, he barked into his radio. 1 deceased, 1 unconscious. EMTS en route. Then he turned to Luke and Evelyn. You 2 need to get to the station right now. Luke nodded. I'm taking her. Evelyn clutched the note against her chest. My daughter, she died because of him, she whispered. Luke didn't answer. Harris did. No, he said firmly. Your daughter died because a criminal network wanted to silence her. Daniel's role in that? We don't know yet. Evelyn looked at him with hollow, haunted eyes. Then why did he tell me to run? Luke hesitated. And in that moment, Evelyn felt the truth long before they said it. Daniel wasn't trying to save himself. He wasn't trying to save the men who hunted Olivia. He was trying to save Evelyn. But from what? Or from whom? They drove to the station in silence. Evelyn sat in the passenger seat of Luke's unmarked car, wrapped in a blanket someone had thrown over her shoulders. Streetlights blurred outside the window. The world looked unreal, like she was watching someone else's life through glass. Luke finally spoke. You need to hear the full picture, Evelyn. She didn't look at him. Her voice was thin, numb. Tell me. He kept his eyes on the road. 12 years ago, Daniel didn't disappear because he loved you too much. He wasn't running from you. He wasn't dying. Evelyn closed her eyes. She had suspected this. She wasn't ready to hear it. He disappeared because the people he used to work with were closing in, Luke said. He turned on them. He became a liability. Evelyn's hands tightened into fists. He left to protect himself. Luke hesitated. Then, and to protect Olivia. Evelyn turned sharply. What? Luke swallowed. You were never the target, Evelyn. Olivia was. Her breath caught in her throat. Why? She whispered. She was only 13. Because Daniel owed them, Luke said quietly. And criminals don't forget debts. Ever. Evelyn stared at him, the world tilting. So they blackmailed him. Yes. And to save Olivia, he abandoned us. Luke's silence was the answer. Evelyn felt like her heart had collapsed into dust. Everything she believed about her husband, Every memory was rewritten in a single instant. And the worst part? Olivia had never known. As they pulled up to the police station, Luke touched her arm gently. There's more. And it's going to be hard to hear. Evelyn turned, tears welling. Say it. Luke took a deep breath. We don't think Daniel resurfaced voluntarily 6 months ago. Evelyn frowned. Then why was he in that photo? Luke's eyes darkened. Because we think he was forced out of hiding. Not to rejoin them, but to lure Olivia out. Evelyn froze. What are you saying? Luke met her eyes, voice low. I'm saying Daniel may have been the bait. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Suffocating. Then slowly, painfully, the realization dawned. If Daniel had been used, if Daniel had been threatened, if Daniel knew Olivia was in danger, then Daniel didn't run from her house out of cowardice. He ran because someone else was watching. And Evelyn had been next on the list. Luke stepped closer to her. Evelyn, whoever hunted Olivia, is still out there. Her breath trembled. And they won't stop. Luke nodded, voice grave. Not until they find Daniel. Detective Harris didn't say much at first. He sat across from Margaret at the dining table, his notebook open but untouched, as if the weight of his silence alone could force the truth out of her. Mrs. Pierce, he said finally, I'm going to ask you again. Did the nanny ever threaten you, your son, or your daughter-in-law? Margaret kept her hands folded tightly in her lap. No, she said. Not once. She only tried to help. Emily leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, eyes rimmed red. She hadn't spoken in nearly 10 minutes. She looked like someone whose world was teetering on a cliff's edge. Detective Harris scratched something into his notebook. Witnesses say they saw a young woman run out of this house in tears the day before she disappeared. That girl was the nanny you hired. Except, he closed the notebook. We now know you didn't hire her. The words lingered like smoke. Margaret inhaled slowly. Emily did. Emily's head snapped up. I told you I hired her through an agency. There was no agency, Harris said flatly. The number you provided connects to a prepaid phone purchased 3 months ago at a gas station in Denver. The store's cameras show you buying it. Emily's face drained of all color. Josh stepped toward her, confusion twisting his forehead. Emily, what is he talking about? She took a step back. I didn't think, it wasn't supposed to. Say it, Margaret said softly, almost sadly. Tell him. Emily pressed a trembling hand against her forehead. I didn't know it would turn into this. I just needed help. Real help. Not. She shot a cold glance at Margaret. Not someone who judges me every time I breathe. Margaret winced but stayed silent. Detective Harris folded his arms. Mrs. Pierce, the girl you hired, she told several neighbors she felt unsafe here. She hinted she wasn't who she said she was. She wanted to go to the police. And then she vanished. Emily's breathing quickened. She left. I didn't do anything to her. Then why did you lie about the agency? He asked. Emily looked at Josh again, pleading, desperate. Because I didn't want your mother taking control of everything like she always does. I wanted someone who answered to me. Josh blinked slowly. So you hired someone under a fake name? Someone who turned out to be Carmen's daughter, Margaret whispered. The room fell dead silent. Detective Harris's eyes narrowed. Carmen. Margaret swallowed hard. Carmen Ruiz. She was our live-in housekeeper when Josh was a baby. Josh stared at her, stunned. Mom, you've never mentioned. She practically raised you, Margaret said, voice cracking. I fired her after an incident. Something I regret every day. I tried to find her for years to apologize, but she disappeared. And now her daughter shows up in our home under a false name? And then vanishes again. Harris's pen stopped moving. Mrs. Pierce, we found fingerprints in the nanny's room that match a woman named Elena Ruiz. Carmen's daughter. Emily clutched the back of a chair to steady herself. Josh exhaled shakily. So the nanny was investigating you? Margaret nodded, tears forming. I think so. Carmen always believed I abused her. Elena must have grown up hearing the worst things about me. She probably came here looking for proof. Detective Harris closed his notebook. That may explain her motive. Now I need the truth. From both of you. His eyes moved between Emily and Margaret. Did anything happen in this house, anything at all, that could have escalated things? Emily spoke first. She snooped. Constantly. She went through my room, my bathroom, my things. She rubbed her arms. She wanted information. She asked too many questions about the family, about you, Margaret, about something that happened years ago. She kept a journal. Margaret stiffened. A journal? Harris nodded. We recovered fragments of it in the trash. Torn pages. Burn marks on the edges. Burned. Josh whispered. Yes, the detective said. Somebody tried to destroy it. Emily shook her head aggressively. It wasn't me. And it wasn't me, Margaret added firmly. Harris looked unconvinced, but he moved on. The last entry we found said, I know what happened to her. I know the truth about that night. Josh looked between the two most important women in his life, his mother and his wife, and for the first time he saw them both as strangers. What night? He said quietly. What is she talking about? Margaret pressed a hand to her mouth. Emily took a step away from both of them. Detective Harris placed his notebook on the table and leaned forward. Mrs. Pierce, it's time to tell your son the truth. Margaret closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she looked 20 years older. Margaret's voice trembled as she finally spoke. It was snowing that night, she said quietly. You were barely a year old, Josh. Carmen had put you to bed, and I went upstairs to check on you. When I walked in, I found her standing over your crib crying. Josh frowned. Crying? Why? Margaret's eyes drifted to the window, as if the falling memories were too heavy to hold. She was holding a letter, one she'd found in my desk drawer. Detective Harris leaned forward. What letter? A medical letter, Margaret said. One I never meant for anyone else to see. It said I couldn't have children. Josh blinked. What? But I adopted you, Margaret said softly. Your father and I adopted you, but we planned to tell you when you were older. Carmen wasn't supposed to know. Josh stood frozen as the world he knew began to tilt. You fired her over that? He asked, his voice cracking. No, Margaret said quickly. Not because of that. I fired her because of what happened afterward. She clasped her hands together, knuckles whitening. She begged me not to tell your father. She said she had her own secret. Something she thought would destroy everything. I didn't know what she meant. I thought she was overwhelmed. She paused, swallowing hard. But the next morning, she was gone. Left all her belongings. And she never came back. Emily's eyes flickered. You're leaving out something. Margaret's face tensed. I'm leaving out nothing. Detective Harris scribbled notes, watching her closely. Mrs. Pierce, Elena's journal said she believed her mother didn't leave by choice. Margaret's head shot up. That's not true. Then why, Harris asked slowly, did we find old blood traces in the crawl space behind the laundry room? Blood that, based on preliminary analysis, matches Carmen Ruiz's DNA. The room exploded with tension. Josh took a step back, staring at his mother in disbelief. Mom, what is he saying? I don't know. Margaret cried. I never saw Carmen again after she walked out that morning. I didn't hurt her. I didn't kill her. I loved her like family. Emily wrapped her arms around herself, eyes glinting with accusation. Then why would her daughter come here undercover? Why pretend to be a nanny? Why keep a journal about you? Why? She stopped herself, biting her lip. But the words were already out there like poison. Detective Harris's gaze was razor sharp. Mrs. Pierce, Elena wrote that she believed her mother disappeared the same night you confronted her. Margaret shook her head violently. No. No, no, no. She left in the morning. She spoke to me. But the certainty in her voice was gone. Josh's face twisted in anguish. Why didn't you ever tell me I was adopted? Because it didn't matter, Margaret whispered. You're my son. But you lied. I protected you. Detective Harris closed his notebook. We need to keep digging. And we need to find Elena Ruiz. The more I learn, the more convinced I am she didn't disappear voluntarily. Emily stiffened. Are you saying she was taken? Harris gave her a long, unreadable look. Or worse, Margaret's chair scraped the floor as she stood suddenly. No. No. Nobody harmed her. She left just like her mother did. She got what she wanted and disappeared. Josh's voice was low, cold, and cracked in half. What did she want, Mom? Margaret hesitated. Detective Harris arched a brow. Yes. What exactly did Elena want from you? The room felt unbearably silent. Finally, Margaret whispered the words that changed everything. She wanted to tell Josh the truth about his real mother. Josh blinked. My real mother? Emily gasped. Detective Harris leaned forward. And what is that truth? Margaret took a deep, shuddering breath. Carmen wasn't just your nanny, she said. She was your biological mother. Josh sank into a chair, staring at his mother, feeling as if the floor had vanished beneath him. My biological mother? He repeated, voice trembling. Carmen, she's my mother? Margaret nodded slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. Yes, Josh. I loved you from the moment you were placed in my arms. I raised you as my own because Carmen, she wasn't ready to raise a child. I promised myself I would protect you. I promised I would keep you safe from the pain she endured. Emily's hand went to her mouth, silent disbelief etched across her face. So, the nanny, the one who spied, the one who vanished, she was trying to reconnect him with his real mother? Yes, Margaret said softly. Elena came here because she wanted Josh to know the truth about Carmen. She wanted him to understand the past, to heal old wounds. That's why she pretended to be a nanny, to observe, to make sure nothing went wrong. Detective Harris leaned forward. So Elena's motives weren't malicious. She was seeking closure. Margaret gave a sad smile. Closure, yes. But she was reckless. She underestimated the tension she would ignite. That's why she disappeared again. She didn't want anyone to get hurt, even though she couldn't prevent her own danger. Josh rubbed his face, trying to absorb everything. So my whole life, all these lies, all these secrets, it wasn't just Mom protecting me from the world. It was my real mother and her daughter watching over me in their own way. Margaret took his hand. Exactly. And now you know. You can make sense of what happened to your nanny, your confusion, everything you felt growing up in this house. None of it was your fault. Emily finally spoke, voice shaking. So she wasn't trying to hurt me? No, Margaret said firmly. She was trying to make things right. She never wanted to harm anyone. She just didn't know how to do it safely. Detective Harris nodded. That explains the journal, the disappearing acts, the surveillance. Elena was careful, but her secrecy made it dangerous. Josh leaned back, finally exhaling. I need to meet her. I need to understand everything from her perspective. Margaret hesitated. We don't even know if she's still alive, or if she's in danger from the people who've haunted her mother and her family for decades. Harris spoke up. That's something we can investigate. But at least now you know the truth, Josh. You know where you came from and why all this happened. A silence filled the room, heavy but cleansing. For the first time in years, the weight of uncertainty began to lift from Josh's shoulders. Over the next few weeks, the police investigation focused on locating Elena Ruiz. Thanks to security camera footage and witness interviews, Detective Harris traced her movements to a safe house several states away. Josh, Emily, and Margaret traveled carefully, emotionally preparing themselves for a reunion that could finally heal wounds left open for decades. When they finally met Elena, the reunion was quiet, fragile, and beautiful. She looked at Josh with a mixture of reverence, guilt, and hope. I never wanted to hurt anyone, Elena said softly. I just needed you to know. Your mother, my mother. We both loved you in different ways. I wanted to make sure you understood. Josh swallowed hard, emotions welling. I'm glad you came. I needed to know the truth. Margaret joined them, tears glinting in her eyes. We all made mistakes, but we can still choose to be a family, in whatever way works now. Emily, holding Josh's hand, finally smiled softly. Maybe we can start over too. The group embraced, forming a fragile but real bond that bridged decades of secrets, lies, and misunderstandings. Months later, the household settled into a delicate rhythm. Josh had reconciled with both Margaret and Emily, gaining a fuller understanding of his past. Elena, now safely living nearby, became a quiet presence, sometimes visiting, sometimes giving space, but always part of their lives. Her mother's story had shaped her, but she no longer had to live it in silence. Detective Harris closed the case with a mixture of relief and satisfaction. The missing nanny's true intentions were revealed, the lingering threats were neutralized, and the Pierce family could finally breathe without shadows lurking over them. Josh often sat with Margaret, reflecting on the life they'd shared. "Mom, you weren't just raising me. You were protecting me from things I didn't even understand. I can't thank you enough." Margaret smiled, worn but content. "You're stronger than you know, Josh. You survived all of it. And now you can finally live your own story." Emily leaned against him, whispering softly, "And we'll face the future together." The snow fell gently outside, quiet and clean, covering the past with a promise that the next chapter would belong to them. Truthful, open, and free. And in that moment, the Pierce family finally felt whole again.